There are stories that connect us to ourselves and to each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. Now, exclusively on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
Don't you just love that voice?
Yes.
Thanks, Warren.
I was listening to that and thought, well, that's such a wonderful intro.
Yeah, he did a really good job. Love being supported by the KGRA family. And speaking of, hello, Wanderers. Welcome to Soul Wanderings. I am AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And we are your hosts for Soul Wanderings, heard here on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on kgradb.com. We hope you are listening to us live. And if not, you can find us on a replay on one of your favorite listening platforms. However, if you're live, we love chat interactions. So hang out with us on one of the platforms like Facebook or Rumble or X or Twitch or live.kgradb.com or our brand new YouTube channel at Soul Wanderings. We're hanging out on all of those platforms. And we do have the greatest listeners, don't we?
They
do engage in fun conversation and ask the best questions and share the best comments. I just love it. We're so lucky.
They teach us things when we're talking about these topics.
It's very true. They do. And I'm just really grateful. I don't think we'd still be doing this if we didn't know that they were hanging out a little bit. Like, why are we just doing? Talking to ourselves? Yeah, that's not fun. Because we do that all the time.
That is definitely true.
In our own little world, in our own little circle. So yeah, tonight's going to be a fun topic. And we brought up last week that we had chose topics revolving around the energy, the climate of our people right now. And that is the reason why we chose the topics that we have. And tonight is about inner peace. Inner peace. So there's so much that has taken place lately. And now there's all this like debris in the air and it's all falling down and everyone is feeling a little chaotic and they have a lot of nervousness and anxiety and the unknowing and the fear, insert emotion here. And so tonight we thought, it would be so good to talk about inner peace. Because at the end of the day, all you can control is what's going on inside of here. So we're going to talk about it. And Natalie Peace knows all about it.
Got my name on
it. Fun topic. Like, how can you go wrong? If you guys have any questions, again, type them in the chat in caps so we can grab them easily. Or just sit back, listen, take notes if you need to, want to, and we'll begin the conversation. I know you're just aching to speak. Is it my turn yet? AJ, stop talking. Let me talk.
No. It's like, I love the way that we get to dance with each other, that you do such a good job at doing what you do. And then I get my opportunity to talk and we free flow back and forth.
This is a big topic.
This is a big topic. And there's times where you can understand a concept by understanding what it isn't.
Mhm.
And so the lack of peace gives insight as well as actually experiencing peace. So we're going to meander a little bit because I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to come together. Because I can
Yeah.
jump in and do a 5-minute, here it is sort of thing. But
I
that's not
just,
what we're about.
the organic of the conversation. This is the way we roll. No
That's right.
planning, people, other than the topic at hand.
Nope.
And
Today I
we
did.
do get a life lesson before, actually. I really think that happens. In fact, I know it happens.
Well, right. So let's chat about that for a second because you have not been feeling peaceful.
No, isn't that wild? Like, I generally am a very peaceful human being. Like, there's really not a whole lot that shakes me to my core. And I can just kind of roll with the punches anymore because I'm just at this place in my life where I'm like, what will be, and I get to trust that process. And in human design as a manifester, that is good for me. It is really good for me. And so I haven't been feeling peaceful, and I've really had to do some checking in, like, why am I feeling this anxiety? Why am I feeling this nervousness? What is going on in my life? Like, I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And after doing some reflecting and really feeling on it, I've come to a conclusion that it's not my energy. And I'm definitely picking up on others' energy that isn't just even around me, just collectively, there's this heaviness that is taking place. And I know so many of us are feeling it. Put the emotion and like all the feelings aside of just what's taking place in general. If you just tap into the energy, like the conscious energy, even both sides, unconscious and unconscious, you're going to feel some kind of like happening right now because there are some big, huge energetic shifts taking place. And that's exactly what I am feeling the last few days. I'm just like, oh, I cannot shake this. I'm doing all of my practices that I do for my own inner peace. Nothing is really breaking through and making me feel like I can breathe. It's all just there on my chest. It's so good.
It's so
What
good.
a beautiful teacher.
In many ways it does. So one of the things that I want to talk about, um, just to start out, is if we've been bringing in human design into this discussion on a regular basis with soul wanderings. And those, if anyone in the audience has gotten familiar or have looked at their body graph and their identity or their G center is undefined, then it's important for them to have the awareness. And this is what I was telling you earlier, is that that center has to do with love, direction, and identity. Now, since we are changing directions just in our United States here, and we're not all our listeners for the United States, but the United States has a big global play because we do, and we're changing directions. So that causes a disturbance within that one center and with a lot of people, and you will feel the environment and people around you through that center. We become wise when we start to understand that our undefined centers filter the world around us. And specifically, the G does more than just people, it does the environment. And so to know that, and that's what I reminded you earlier today. I said, remember, you're feeling a lot of things that are not from you, and just check in. Because if your normal sense of self is relatively calm, then that's what's normal and that's your sense of self.
Yeah.
And so for those out there, check in to see whether your G is defined or not. And even if the G is the G or the identity center is defined, then there's other centers where there's disturbances going on. And
There's a
it's beneficial.
disturbance in the force.
Yes. And this is one of the reasons for this time period now That's why the human design came to be in existence and known to us on this planet. There are other forces to play. We live in a materium, a Maya, with the matrix, that it's not just us humans. We're swimming in a consciousness ocean. There's this realm of consciousness that we are an aspect of, but it's all one consciousness. And so within that framework, that consciousness we will get guidance, we'll get things that will be delivered to this planet and will come to be known that are to help us along the way. And the human design is one of those tools that will help us navigate by having our own inner authority. So that's my pitch for human design, of saying it really helps. I'm so grateful, because that's one of the ways that I find inner peace currently in my life, is by going to my own authority and pulling into my own form and knowing my form and feeling into myself and knowing what isn't me, which can bring me into this place of acceptance that says, well, these are the times. I watched a video yesterday that was in many ways heartbreaking, because it described how things are so misinterpreted. We can have a news story, and the news story will report something, but it doesn't report the whole story. It just doesn't. That's not the way we communicate as humans. And it was heartbreaking to listen to the person's experience that was being impacted by the big social dynamics and spin. And now her life is turned upside down because she became known for something that to her was just doing what was normal in a job. And these are the different things that are happening right now. There's a lot of chaos, turnover, and those will definitely disturb the inner peace.
And is disturbing the inner peace. How many times have you connected to your breath in the last week?
You'd be like, oh, wait, I think I've been holding it for the whole week.
Right. That's how I feel. I'm like, oh yeah, breathe. Be here now. There's nothing you can do but be here now.
Right in this moment. There's also some idea that it's the end of the world. Just for the record, this world has not ended for eons. Even when things end, it's new beginnings, and there is no death. And we've talked about different near-death experiences and the understanding that there really is no death. And so a lot of times, but there's a lot of fear right now. So I want to talk a little bit about one of my go-to tools that I use. And it's work that was developed by David R. Hawkins, and I use this map of consciousness. So our lovely producer is going to put that up on the screen.
I really appreciate this map. So good. Seriously, it helps put you in check.
It really does, and it gives you some guidance systems. So if you're just listening to this and you don't have the screen available, you're not watching, then Google Map of Consciousness by David R. Hawkins. But if you Google Map of Consciousness, you will get an image of it. And so what I want to point out on this map is that let's look at, on the left side are the name of a level, are the different levels. And down near the bottom on the left is fear. So fear has a predominant emotional state of anxiety. Your view of life is frightening. You see the God perspective, or your God point of view is a punitive God, and then you withdraw. Now, one of the reasons to bring this up is because there is a large segment of the population that is actually in that state right now. They're withdrawing, they're frightened, they are full of anxiety, and rightfully so. So there is an energetic log, which is the logarithmic scale. So it says 100. the scale goes from 20 to 1,000. And so in contrast to that, peace, which is up at 600, you'll have bliss as your predominant emotional state. You will view life as perfect. You will see God as all being, and you'll be illuminated in the process of life. So these are contrasts. Now there's a whole lot extra things in between. Most people sit around 200 or 250. So if you go to 250, that's neutrality. You will trust as your predominant emotional state. You will see life as satisfying. And you will see God as an enabling energy or presence in your life. And this will be the process of release. So these are different examples of what has been measured by the work of David R. Hawkins. And it was measured using kinesiology. I have definitely utilized this tool in my life. Now, how can you use this for your own help? Well, when you look at this map and you want to shift, and you can find your emotional state on there. We'll even go at 150 and we'll say there's a lot of people right now feeling hate. If they can just move up scorn or affirmation, they don't even have to go all the way to optimism or forgiveness. They're just moving from hate, and you're going to move a little bit up in the scale. Then you will feel a shift in your views and the way things are. So I wanted to bring that up as a tool to bring to people's attention, because maybe people have heard this, or maybe they have never heard of his work. He literally has written a book that was, I don't remember exactly when it was written, but it was called Power versus Force. And what was measured and discussed in that book is the essence of power, that if you use power, and you use power according to your consciousness power, or you're using force, your results are going to be different. So even with that, when you're looking for inner peace, you can't force it. You can't force it. You have to live at a level of where your perspective and your view of life actually allows for peace to exist within your energy field.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I just know so many people, and I guess this is a thing now, the love and light crowd.
Yeah, I don't get that.
That has been introduced to me recently. So I went down my investigative rabbit hole.
Oh, I want to hear.
No, but just as an example, like when people are like, "Oh, you're going to be fine. This is exactly what is meant for you in this moment." Like, and they're going through like the worst experience of their life. Like that's the last thing you want to say to somebody. Like they removed the compassion or any empathy, and
Right.
it's just really toxic. And I feel like when you say you can't force the peace, right? You cannot force to be at the highest level of this map when you are not even at the middle. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
And I feel like it sets people up for more, I don't want to say disappointment, or, well, maybe I do. I don't know. I feel like we're hard on ourselves already. And when you can't reach a level of achievement that you expect or desire in that moment, you give up really easily because it's not realistic. And so it's so important that you said that, so people understand, like, if you are feeling those lower frequencies, that's okay. Like, you'll move through those, but be realistic with your expectations about what that looks like, because how do you get from, the 150 where you're in hate and go all the way up to the 540 where you're in serenity? Like, how do you just do that? You don't.
You go, serenity now.
It doesn't happen that way.
No, it doesn't.
And so let's be realistic, and I really like that. It's important for us to know, like, we are not perfect as human beings. We're not meant to be perfect. And inner peace is like a process that happens through your life gradually. It's a practice. And it's not even something that you'll feel every day once you feel like you've achieved that level that you're desiring. Like, things happen in life all of the time, and we're constantly being tested. And so it's nice to have a map. It's nice to like really give yourself an idea of where you're at and what that looks like. But yes, be realistic and also be really gentle with yourself in the process.
Right. So I will often, when using this with different clients and throughout the time that I've referred to this map, I will turn people's attention to the 250 level, which is neutrality,
Mm-hmm.
with the predominant emotional state of trust. So those two things, when you think about just shifting into neutral and trust, I want to just challenge people that if you run around and you run around, this is like in your regular daily life, over the years, you have developed a relationship with the universe, and that you actually trust that the universe has your best interest. And it will provide you everything that is for you. And it's not doing things to you, but it is providing everything that it was for you. Then this too is for. And that's what, it's a beautiful thing to be able to trust. Now, that is a struggle for many people. It is the ability to trust processes, trust the evolution, trust the ebb and flow of things. And there's a lot of people much more intelligent than me that will talk about these changes over the ages and different generations, and how different generations, there's these larger cycles throughout humanity. And that's a true thing. There are cycles. There are times of breaking down and building back up. And to know that this isn't the first time we as humans have been through these types of things. And to see that it can be said sometimes we stand on the shoulders of giants. And there are people that experienced a lot of difficulty many decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they survived, and that means we can too.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to also put that out. If you're feeling like, that survival is a difficult thing, then you say, no, people before me, for me, survived, and I definitely can too. People have been through much worse than, and this is not to minimize. I don't want to put that out there to minimize, saying other people had it worse than you. Get over it. Stop being such a whiny. That isn't what I'm saying at all. I find that when we can affirm that it's difficult for us now, and then we can find something that can be an inspiration to help us move through it, like other people had to find inspirations to move through their difficult time.
Exactly. It's not easy. That's the thing. Like,
no.
Our mind is so powerful, and we've talked about this before so many times. And it really is like leaning into trust of yourself, that you are capable of handling these experiences. Right? It's trust in yourself that you will get through A, B, or C. Trust in yourself that you are working towards a better version of yourself. It really is a process. But the beautiful thing is like when there are times like that are heavier, like they are now, or for whatever reason, even in the moment, there are ways that you can initiate that process and even bring you, up a few notches in the
Mhm.
moment. What are
And
some ways that you do that?
definitely the breath.
Yeah. The breath is
I
so important.
Oh, there's so many times that so this is a physical thing, but people are experiencing a lot of physical things as well. That if I have pain and my lower back has been giving me fits from time to time, and it'll just like cramp up, and I
Mhm.
have learned to breathe. Did you know that it's possible to breathe the pain just right out your mouth?
Yeah. Isn't it
And
amazing how powerful our bodies are? Oh.
I went through a whole program and they said, just bottle up all that pain and move it up and push it out with your breath. And I was like, okay. So you go through the motions of that and realize that if you're practicing that in some sort of meditation or a class
Mm,
um, situation, and then you take it into a real life and you remember to do it, that's where it
right,
is.
right.
So I wrote down a couple of things that my first thing I wrote down that says, don't talk about it, be about it.
You know how much I say that? You probably do. Like, don't talk about it, be about it. Because I lip service all the time. I was going to do that. I thought about that.
Haven't been trying.
Like, yeah, I've been trying. Like, we hear these things all of the time. It's like, don't talk about it, be about it.
hmm And one of the reasons to really do that is it is only through taking the action. There's this spiritual law called law of action, and it said that only by taking action do you know, do you put it into your sense of
Mm,
being, do you
mm,
get it
mm,
on the level. So um, there, it may be that there are people right now where it may not resonate with this topic for us that we're talking about tonight, because it may be, I don't want to be at peace. I
yeah.
want to stay passionate. I want to
Do it.
um but which is fine too. That may be not what they're looking for. And there's probably plenty of people that say it's not the time for peace. Maybe that's where they say sometimes the
Mhm.
love and light crowd. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I'm all about all of it. Like, if you
mhm.
have to feel this way to get through this, then do it. The people who are getting really upset right now and even like shaving their heads and doing some like really drastic things, like if you feel like that is what you need to get to a place of peace and you're not hurting anyone else, then do it. I don't understand that, but that's not me and it's not my journey. It's yours. And if that's what you need, then do what you need.
Yes, we all get the opportunity to choose through
Yeah,
these
it's free
times.
will.
It is. You're not
If
here to be controlled, even if you think you are.
yeah, I love connecting to my breath. I think that's one of the most easy ways for me to come to to this moment. It also helps when I get into a lower vibration, like when I'm angry or when I'm having anxiety. It's really good for me to be like, just breathe. Like, not for me, the words I use, and this is not for everybody because people do feel like life is very, very real. But I always say, nothing is real. None of this is real. And it helps me put myself back in check because me getting upset or whatever other emotion I have that's not working out for me, it reminds me that I'm putting way too much energy into this situation that doesn't need to be put there.
That's really powerful.
None of it
Uh,
is real.
that's
And
what
it
yeah.
it brings you to the present moment. And I think that's what is most important, right? Because we can't change the past. We all know that. And we can't predict the future, nor can we live in it because it hasn't happened yet. We don't know what's going to happen. And so all you can do is be here now. That's what you can do. And it gives you your power back.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I think that's important. And meditation will do that. That's something really easy. And people are always saying, I can't meditate. But meditation can be so many different things: doodling, gardening, going on a walk. Like, you don't have to sit still and calm your thoughts and your mind. It distracts you from all of the other mind chatter that's taking place, right?
Right.
And another thing that I really, really like doing in most situations where I'm not feeling in peace is just practicing gratitude. Right? We have so much to be grateful for. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're at in your life, you have something to be grateful for. Even if all you can think about is like, I have clothes on my body,
Hmm.
or I have air in my lungs. Like, they're big things. But also, if you can't think of like anything outside of that, those are things that you can fall on, that you're able to do. And I think practicing gratitude is really important, and also being kind to others, um, without expectations, because that brings like this energy that you're putting out, and like what you put out comes back. You were going to say something.
Right. Because with that, to practice gratitude for others, along with that is, and what you just said, what you put out comes back. If what you want the world to be um, is not what you're seeing in the world, you have to treat the world like what you want it to be.
Yes.
When you change the way you look at something, that thing changes.
Yes.
So I had this, I told you the other day, there was this quote that said, are your words creating your world, or is the world creating your words?
I actually have that written on my wall.
Which was my inspiration, which was, wow, this goes along. I've practiced a long time with understanding that there's this co-creation process. Me, the universe, none of it's real, but I'm creating the illusion, all of these things. When you study lots of different forms of consciousness, or they're saying that your words literally are creating your world around you. They really are. And so if it's not okay, then you shift your language on the inside of you. And I heard this quote. He said it was from Cathari, which it must be an ancient religion or tradition. And so this is a quote. And I thought, wouldn't this be really good? I like this. I'm going to utilize and put it into my thinking process. Universe provides and guides my eyes to see, my voice to say, my how wondrous is each day.
Oh, I like that.
Now, it may seem like that's Pollyanna, but we train our mind with what we think on a regular basis, whether you train it with positive, affirmative things, or you train it or allow it to run wild in the wild with whatever, or it's being trained by other voices that we listen to. We have so much information to take in, and entertainment and podcast. And this is the age of podcasts. So there's a lot of talk that we can just sit and just be listening to. And so our mind is constantly taking in things. So I recommend being mindful about that. Now, the other thing that this little verse does is it helps with the understanding that we live in a conscious universe, and the universe is showing us exactly what we need, and we're exactly where we're supposed to be right now.
Yeah.
And there's many times when I'm meeting with people, I said, but that's your interpretation, and be mindful of the interpretation, because the interpretation is driving your experience.
Yes.
It takes a lot of discipline to be conscious.
It does. It's not a practice. It is a being.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing from our listeners if you're hanging out on one of the chat platforms, either on well, I don't think we're on Facebook. There's some technical difficulties tonight. Rumble or YouTube, X, Twitch, wherever you're at. How do you all tune into your inner peace? What practices are you using to bring you to that calm, serenity, beautiful, peaceful place? I like to hear what other people are doing. Another thing that came up while you were talking was most of all, if I can think of anything, is to develop a love for yourself. I think so many of us aren't like in check with like really truly loving the person that we are, and so we're not nurturing that soul inside of our body, and we are missing out on a lot of opportunities that bring us peace because we're disconnected.
Oh, yes. If you don't love yourself, then you definitely create even more of a separation.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that happens when you don't love yourself is that you want the world to love you into loving yourself. So it needs a whole,
that's a whole other thing.
massive truckload of love from other people to reinforce. And you can people that have not a healthy sense of self and don't really love themselves cut out any structure. Well, they can cut out a building up that someone else can do for them faster than a person can keep building them up.
That is
And that's
very
an invisible thing because we can't see inside of people.
right. That is the thing. Speaking of other people, I feel like when I begin getting anxious and whatever other emotion, right? I feel so many things throughout the day, but when I'm not feeling peace and when I'm not feeling connected to myself or to my body, I realize that I've been taking in too much of the socials. Like I've been watching too, because I research so much and I go down the YouTube rabbit hole and then I hop on over to whatever other platform and I'm looking at all of these thoughts that people are sharing and viewpoints and opinions, and it causes me to disconnect from myself. Just because it's so easy to get lost in those places. It also affects your sleep, and sleep is another thing I feel is really, really important for you to experience for a plethora of reasons, right? But absolutely for your inner peace.
Absolutely. We go with the basics.
Yeah.
Sleep well, eat
Drink
healthy,
your water.
drink your water. we are salt water, so we need to stay ourselves hydrated because that affects our brain.
Right.
And that's
A lot of this is common sense, but like hello reminders, we forget. We just forget. And then we just like go all crazy because we're like, we don't know how to get out of it. Oh yeah, breathe. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
we talked last week about the emotional clarity, and just to touch on emotional energy again, emotions are not they're full of a lot of energy and chaos, and so right now this definitely happened. We can get caught up in your emotional storm, and just remember that it doesn't hold complete truth in the now, because it's always a bit, can be so full of distortion.
Yes.
And it's not, I even do that for people that are not okay right now, because it's hard to not be okay. What in my notes when I was just filling this out, I wrote down Man's Search for Meaning. Now, that's a powerful book. If people haven't read it, if they have read it, then they have an awareness. But Viktor Frankl was in a concentration camp, and it was probably almost around 100 years ago now. And one of the things when I read that book, that came out that I was thinking about with this was that people in that concentration camp had peace from time to time. They found social groups, they have found entertainment, they found comedy, they found ways of being. So even in the midst of vast amounts of chaos and discord and difficulty, you can find the peace. The great masters, like monks or various things, will hold their center, their core, their center within themselves, no matter what's happening around them. And that is a sign of this higher frequency consciousness, like I was talking about earlier, is this ability to hold your core. This is very important. Very important to do that, because that actually can dissipate fear, because fear is blinding. Fear is a distortion, and to be afraid is to be less powerful in your own skin, because it's something outside of you that gets to control you, than having that core within inside of you. So that's one of the things that touching back into forms of meditation. The reason why it's helpful to meditate on a regular basis is that you go visit this place that can be peaceful when you're not in a midst of chaos. And then you can remember, you can touch back on that, because we have muscle memory. Even in meditation, you create a muscle memory. If we want to put that muscle towards the mental framework, you'll have this muscle memory where you can go back through that muscle memory, touch on that place of calm, of centered mind.
Yes.
And it will just bring it instantly to you.
It is
in
true.
that space.
I agree with that. I love that you brought that up. Yeah, that's a good one.
This is why we have to do it outside of outside of like, oh my gosh, everything's coming apart.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been a really good reminder for me, especially because the last week has just been incredibly heavy. And I've done all of these little things that I'm like, okay, how do I bring myself back to myself? If I'm getting too far ahead with what is going on in the world. Not that I am in fear, because I really, truly, I am not in any fear of what's to come. I actually am quite excited for the future. And I'm not even talking about that like on a political view. That I'm not even talking about that at all. I'm looking at it from a very spiritual point of view, and like what's going on here and here, and like, yeah, like Ginga says, it's a movie. Like, I really am excited to see what takes place next. And, I know there will be some hard times for a lot of us. And I get that. That's part of what's going to have to take place in order for it to come to this really beautiful place that I believe that it will be. But the fear does take over. It's such a powerful thing, right? So many people are just drinking it and eating it for breakfast on the regular. And I love to send so much like good energy towards anybody that I know that's in that space, because fear does so much to your physical body too. So you have all of this fear just festering inside of your body. And I just really believe that it does some horrible things to you physically. And it's amazing when you even think of that. Like, a lot of us want to live long lives. A lot of us want to be healthy. And it's not just about the food we eat and the exercise regimen that we have. It is, what are you thinking? What are the thoughts in your head that are creating your reality? And what level of peace are you living? Because it does affect your body. It does affect your well-being.
Yes, it does.
I had a point to all of that, and I think
Well, you did.
I took a left. But I
No.
still mean what I said.
Right. I actually think, well, you were talking about like understanding that we're going somewhere
Yeah.
that doesn't mean blackness. So do you have a gift or information or advice or a note from the universe
The
for
biggest,
people?
sure. And this one is the one that keeps coming up for, every time I check in, like even with the records. I had so many readings yesterday, Monday. For me, it's a lot of readings. And that there was one biggest thing that kept coming forward even when I did my own, and was that trust. Trust was the biggest word for everyone, for things that came through. I truly believe we're always exactly where we're meant to be. And if we want to we want to come to this from a spiritual aspect,
Mhm.
and you believe in the fact that you chose to be here at this time, which I do believe that there is a reason why you are here during this time. It is such a massive thing that is going to take place, monumental. Like, if there are going to be history books in the future, spiritual history books, the records or whatever, this is the time that you want to participate. And you knew that before you came here. And that's the beautiful thing. Like, is it hard? Yes. But did you know that? Yes. And did you still choose to sign up for this mission? Yes, you did. And so trust that. Trust that you came here because you knew that what you had to offer and the being that you are mattered and was important to the mission that is taking place right now. And I truly, truly believe that. And I feel like part of coming to a place of peace is just really like surrendering. Like, surrender to what is right now, and what can you do that is possible for you to do where you are at. Oh, work on yourself. Love yourself. That's what you can do. That's how you can help heal not just you, but those around you, and the places you live, the places you visit, the places you frequent, whatever that looks like. Because energy, you guys, we talk about energy all of the time. And I think it's really important to be that light and to be that beacon, not just for yourself, but for those around you, because then those who have that same light will join your light, right? You'll find your people and you won't feel so alone. And those who don't understand it yet, you'll attract them and you can teach them. And I think most importantly out of all of it, like it just kept coming up, is just trust this journey. Trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be at all times. I know it's not easy, right? And you don't know what happened before you came here. Like, we don't know, but your heart will tell you. Your heart will verify, like, yeah, that feels really good. And that's your yes. That's your soul saying, yes, that is true. So trust that. Trust yourself and trust your journey and trust the reason that you're here at this time. That's what I have to say about that.
Well, that just gave me a lot of peace. That was beautiful.
It's so true. It feels so
I
good. And
it,
if it is from the love and light crowd or whatever, I'm okay with that. Because I know it's true in my heart, and all I can do is to teach you my truth, share my truth. And you get to do the same thing. And I hope that you do.
oh, yes, for sure. Trust and surrender. That does not mean that you're surrendering to, well, um the fear. I also wrote back to
Oh,
fear
yeah.
because don't surrender to the fear.
No, don't give in
I
to the dark side. Don't
no,
do it.
no,
It's a
no.
trick.
It's a beautiful thing what you said about shine that light. So when you shine a light in a room, or um, it brightens up the whole room, even if it's a small
Yeah.
light. When
Mhm.
you open up a closet, the good dark doesn't seep out; the light seeps in.
It's very
It
true.
just it just does. If you have to light a candle, if you have to do, there's reasons why people light candles for various things. It's just one spot of illumination. We all
Yeah.
have this opportunity to do this.
I'm
We
like,
really, really do have to do this. So I wrote, fear eliminates all inner peace.
love it.
So we'll work on moving up. So check out the
Shine
map of
bright like a
consciousness.
diamond.
If you have to print it off and hang it on your wall and make it one of your favorite pictures at the moment to study,
Mm-hmm.
how you want to climb that ladder, if you want to put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Climb around, climb around, climb around. Shift your frequency. The more you hold it, the more it stays.
Mm-hmm.
The more you hold the higher frequency, the more that you radiate in or emanate that frequency on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so good. And for those of you who haven't caught the live show and you didn't get to see the video where we posted the map of consciousness, just go to your search engine and type in Map of Consciousness by David R. Hawkins.
Right.
It's a good one to have on hand. How am I feeling today? It's like, you know how, I don't know if you ever went to like counseling or therapy or something, but I remember like working in those offices and they had like laminated smiley faces, angry faces, happy faces, and you had to tell them how you felt today.
Yes.
That's how I do it now with the map of consciousness. Today I feel anger.
Anxiety,
Looks
apathetic.
like I need to level up my energy.
Let's just shift to neutral.
Yeah, let's go up a few notches. It's so good.
And the trust and forgive and understanding and all these different, and if you take and choose words that you put around to infuse your environment with uplifting words. There's been, do you remember you've seen that work
The
that they
power
do?
in words.
Yes, when they put words on water or they put words on food.
Mm-hmm.
And the rice boils
throughout the
much
years.
faster when it has negative, degrading words rather than uplifting. So this is a time to also boost yourself with positive words around you. It really does matter. It might seem cheeky and sort of corny, but what the heck? Give it a try and see. That's
You know what? Sometimes the corny stuff just gets you through, though, honestly.
yeah,
Like,
I've had it. Yes.
I feel that. I feel that in a big way. Like sometimes you just have to ham out.
Yes. Let's do it.
I am always kind of a little nerdy. So
Yes.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
No.
Yeah. And I really adore that your last name is Peace.
No coincidence.
It's
No
so
accident.
Good. It's so good.
I'll even say sometimes there's no coincidence that my name's Peace. My name is Peace for a reason.
Yes, definitely. Well, tonight's been fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. And to all of our listeners, you guys, I love how interactive you are. Yes, we've got some dancing going on in the chat room, all of their little songs around shining your light. Thank you very much. And we do appreciate the listener engagement. If you guys have a show topic that you would like us to talk about, make sure you email us at connect@soulwanderings.com. And we'll see you all next week at 7 p.m. Wednesday night. Good night.
Have a good one.